So right now, in the Jewish community, a large portion of young adults who consider themselves Jewish, not, I have Jewish parents and am nothing, but really I'm Jewish, have one Jewish parent, either one. And it's from this population that a new subculture is emerging of people who draw from both sides of their heritage and synthesize their cultural halves into a remarkable new identity. Isn't that a lovely phrase? I hope it's true. I don't know. Cleveland is a little bit exceptional. Now, it's true actually when they break down the statistics all over the country to try and figure out how many people in interfaith families have chosen to raise their children as Jews, that you get really different statistics. Originally, there was a study that was national that found that only about a third of interfaith families with a Jewish partner chose to raise their children as Jews, which would make you want to tear your hair out, because that's not very high. In fact, if you want to have there to be Jewish people, unless you're going out and proselytizing non-Jews, which we still aren't, then that's a problem for you. So, in Cleveland, there's a lower rate of interfaith marriage than in many other cities in the country. According to a study that was published recently that Pearl Beck conducted, and it was commissioned by the Federation here in Cleveland, she thinks about 23% of the people in the Jewish community are in interfaith marriages, which is relatively low, especially compared to Boston, where I live, where it's much higher, like half. And about 60% of the people in the Cleveland area who identify themselves as being in interfaith marriages said that they were planning to raise their children as Jews, which is really good, because we in Boston undertook this program to try to increase the inclusion and involvement of interfaith families, and we got our statistic up to 60%. And this is the baseline for Cleveland. So it's true, though, that I got very excited about that stat, and then I went and read the report, and it's possible that the statistics were a little bit skewed by how she found the respondents. Still, you could be happy, because it says something nice about Cleveland's Jewish community. It says something that you're doing something right if the interfaith families are choosing to raise their children in the Jewish community. That's a really good thing. And in 59% of the cases where people said that they were raising Jewish children, the mom was Jewish. So that's something I want to bookmark and go back to, this whole issue of whether the mom or the dad is Jewish and what that means and how people make the decisions. It is good to acknowledge, and this is something, I think the Cleveland Jewish News is the only Jewish press that I found on this issue, that when interfaith families divorce, that sometimes the agreements that they had about how to raise their children go away and are overridden. And that's a problem. So, I mean, I think that some people in the Jewish community have the attitude, well, if only you were no longer married to someone who was Jewish, everything would be fine. But that is not true, because children of interfaith families are still there, and they need to have that consistency if they're going to have that identity. So that statistic about divorce, which we actually don't know what the current level of divorce from interfaith families compared to same-faith families is, because people are still doing sociological studies about this, and sociological studies, we don't really know whether there is a higher level or whether it's the same. It has been higher in the past. So, because there are a lot of tensions involved in being in an interfaith family. So I'm going to say a few things about our website and what we're doing and what other people around the country are doing while I'm in the process. And I'm going to try not to spend too much time on the website, but it's really tempting for me because I'm the editor, so I want to show everything. And we have, can you hear me without the mic? I bet you can't. I have a loud voice. Okay, so this is our site. This is the main page of our site. And we just had it redesigned. You can see here it says, take the tour. So you can go on our site and take the tour. This is the featured article of the day. This guy, Kira Okiso, I recruited him. There's our blog. I wrote the blog post. It's about coming here. Here's a link to our discussion board. We have one of those discussion bulletin boards so that people can talk about issues, either about the articles that we have on the site or anything that they bring up. Then we have a listing of groups that are providing, that are on our site that are to provide networking for people in interfaith families or for providers of programs. And events and organizations, we find synagogues and Jewish organizations that want to recruit interfaith families, and we get them to list their events on our website. And this is a really great way to get people to come to your organization. We don't vet the organizations, we don't get interfaith families to go and tell us whether they were really welcoming. I know that there are other groups that do it that way, but we let them advertise themselves, and that's really good for them because then they have an opportunity to think about whether they're doing that. Here in the corner we have 3 buttons. Sign up for our newsletter. Request a rabbi for your wedding and make a donation. Make a donation, I don't have to explain. Request a rabbi for your wedding, I have to explain because it's one of the things that that we do on our site that's that's worth talking about. When people get married, it's one of the important life cycle events for them, and they've done studies that show. Arnold Dashevsky did a study that showed that interfaith families that had a rabbi at their wedding to officiate, not just as a guest, that they were more likely to raise their children as Jews. That it was a very big factor. And anecdotally, families said to him, and also have said to us and probably to you, that when a rabbi told them that they would not officiate, if they said it in a very not nice way, the couple decided not to go back to that synagogue, and maybe not to any other synagogue for a while. You might know people to whom this has happened. So it's a really good thing for the Jewish community for us to match up interfaith couples with rabbis who will officiate for them. So we do this, and the way we do it is very high tech. The couples fill out a survey, the rabbis fill out a survey, and we match them up, right? They have to be in the same area geographically, obviously, but also if a couple wants to have the rabbi co-officiate with a priest, say, a lot of the rabbis won't do that, so we actually ask the rabbis, will you officiate with a priest? Will you officiate on Shabbat? Will you officiate for a same-sex marriage? Will you only officiate for an opposite-sex marriage? Blah, blah, blah. And then we can match them. So this is something we do. We have about 270, 300 rabbis now who are in that. And we also have on the site a special section that's just for rabbis, for Jewish clergy, I guess, cantors are included, to discuss best practices about how to be inclusive. And it's mostly, it's closed to non-rabbis so that they can leave comments to each other like, I can't believe you do that. But they don't, because rabbis don't like to use the computer. And sorry, it's just true. Or many of them don't. And then we have a section for program providers where we provide articles. We have now this brand new site. This is really cool, and I want to talk a little bit about how cool it is so you'll decide to sign up for it. We always had a newsletter every 2 weeks, and that's something that I put together for whatever were the featured articles in this box and the blog posts. Just so for people who really hate to be on the internet, to get it in their email box, or just get it in their email box, they open it, they say, ooh, look, celebrities. And then they click recipes, and then they click, and they go and they look at the site.